light set up to your Leo. There it is. We're live.
There we go. We are live. Josh Engelman is not here. It is Greg Ehrenberg. It is your old pal Emac. It is Sunday night football. We had a slate that's still going on today. A lot of things didn't work out for a lot of people. That's what it is these days. That's what DFS NFL is. Everybody seemingly hurt at this stage of the game, and but a few twists and turns here and there. Suddenly, the Steelers are popping off against the Lions. That seemed to be, I don't know if I'm surprised, but I thought the Lions would be able to just march through them. It's 29-24. Looks like all the other games have wrapped up. How did the Dolphins do? Dolphins with their rookie quarterback, that whole kerfuffle. I'm assuming that Tua Tagovailoa, he just signed a contract extension like a year or two ago, so he's probably still stuck with them.
They said he's not coming back next year. So
he has said that?
It was reported that he's not going to come back next year. So I don't know how the Dolphins are going to get out of the contract, because but maybe they're just going to cut him and it'll be dead money. But they said it was reported by Rappaport, Mike McDaniel's coming back next year and Tua is not.
Oh, interesting. Well, what a tangled web we weave. Anyway, we got some fun tonight here. Intriguing game for both teams. Baltimore that probably needs to win, but the whole Baltimore Steelers thing can kind of go down to week 18 with some oddities, so it's not must win for Baltimore. The Patriots would like to win because they want to keep pace with Denver for the top overall record in the AFC in that first round.
Ahead of Buffalo.
Yeah, and Buffalo. So this is important for them. We've seen Drake Maye literally play at an MVP level. He was top 3 the last few weeks going into this on the short list. So that is kind of fun. He was, of course, a Pro Bowler last year, but now that Mike Vrabel's in there in a more stable regime, it seems like he is continuing to grow. So this is kind of going to be a fun one. And we got a lot of guessing to do with the receivers for both teams, Greg. Not a lot of favorites being played here. 1 or 2, but they feel, as the kids say, thin.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, also the early slate. I just went and checked because you got the Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs just scored a touchdown, and now the Lions are got the ball back with a chance to win. So all of a sudden, you might have like Jahmyr Gibbs, who scores another touchdown this drive, is going to have like 35 fantasy points after having like none the entire game as uber chalk. So the slate not over yet. The early one.
It's on its head. So there we go. The one thing I can offer everybody is Team Free Money has the $1 head-to-heads in the DK lobby, hemorrhaging money once again. So jump on in, username Emac. Enjoy those 80 cents of sweet Emac pain and suffering. It's going to be cold, speaking of pain and suffering, around freezing in Baltimore. We, of course, will have the Seven Nation Army song going on and on and on be in the background tonight. We've got 2 kickers that are rookies, both drafted in the 6th round. One kicked in Arizona, one kicked in Miami. They each spent most of their college careers there. I don't think there's an advantage for either one tonight with the weather, so that's kind of a fun twist. And then the other open question is Lamar Jackson. What's up with this hamstring? He has kind of been okay, but he hasn't been Action Jackson by any stretch since returning in week 9 after missing, I think it was like 4 or 5 games with that hamstring issue. So lots of question marks here. And then finally, Greg, it is December. And we have not seen King Henry put his stamp on the month like he has so many times previously. But he's going to get it. I think he just cleared, or he's going to get to 1,000 yards tonight. Pretty crazy.
He's at 1,100. So yeah, he should be alarmed if he finishes the night with 1,000.
Well, yeah, that would be a problem. I'm trying to think. So somebody was closing in on 1,000. I think maybe it was Zay Flowers.
Okay. Yeah. It actually reminds me of, I heard a podcast with Louis C.K. recently where he said that he found out he had $1 million twice. The first time it was really good news. The second time it was really bad news. That would kind of be the equivalent if Derrick Henry found out he had 1,000 yards rushing after this game.
Yes. All right. So let's kick her off here. Quarterbacks. Drake Maye looking good. Lamar looking like we definitely want him as part of a utility slot. How do you feel about Lamar in the multiplier, given that it's cold, given that there's a tender hammy, and it's not necessarily must win for Baltimore here, which has sort of curtailed some of his running this season?
Well, one thing that's definitely notable is I'm surprised how low his props are. So I did have posted to Tails same game parlay for Sunday Night Football. I've been doing really well with my same game parlays, but one of the things that stood out to me is we do have Derrick Henry in our projections projected for nearly 100 rushing yards, and his rushing yard prop, when I looked earlier, was 72.5, which is a pretty low line for Derrick Henry, who's had really big splits this year. If you look at him overall for the year, he's had a good year for a normal running back right now, 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns, but he had some really bad games when Lamar Jackson was hurt. And then he's had a lot of really good games when Lamar Jackson has been healthy, which I think is to kind of be expected. When it was not Lamar Jackson at quarterback, teams were kind of able to sell out against the run. And then also the Ravens were losing a bunch of those games. They're playing from behind. And when you play from behind, Derrick Henry just kind of gets scripted out of a lot of games. That actually would be my biggest concern for today with Derrick Henry. It wouldn't be how important is it for the Ravens to win. It wouldn't be anything like how is Derrick Henry looking at this point in his career. To me, the real biggest concern would just be the Patriots are really good. What happens if the Ravens fall behind? Then you just don't really see a ton of Derrick Henry in that kind of game script. But there was a couple of questions in there. First, the Lamar Jackson one. I love him in the captain spot. I can't believe he's lower owned than Drake Maye today in the multiplier spot. And then as far as Derrick Henry goes, I think that he is a fine pay up option. I just don't like him as much as Drake Maye or Lamar Jackson, and he's comparably priced to them. So that's something that's going to have him fall by the wayside a little bit for me.
All right. Let me get my article draft opened up here so I can more comprehensive look at my notes. I just dropped it. So the ever nomadic Emac content for your NFL primetime games. I'm over on Tails now. Tails, 100% free. I dropped the link into chat. If you guys follow me, you can filter by me, and the article's going to appear in order. It's a module, so I can set it up so you just click from each section to each section, but definitely check that out. And then by following me, you can just click on it and see what I'm putting out there. But that's where my NFL content is going to be and my NBA content. So free, check that out. A lot of fun. Over 200 contributors are providing information over there on Tails, DFS, sports wagering, pick'em sites, etc. A lot of people have premium packages, but almost everyone puts forth at least one free wager per day, just so you can kind of see their process, what they're doing, etc. And then Greg and Lofty are doing free content all the time. I will be as well. Josh Engelman is putting most of his contenders and NBA videos or NBA articles and thoughts over there as well. So definitely check that out, Tails. It's a lot of fun to see all the different contributors there. So there we go. You mentioned, so let me get to my notes here on Lamar Jackson. So I am the chalk donkey. So I always get a little trepidatious here with injuries and things of that nature. So through the first 4 games that Baltimore was 1-3, Jackson was averaging 218 passing yards per game. He had 10 touchdowns, 1 interception, 41.3 yards per game. Strained the hammy, was out for over a month, came back, had a good game. And then it's just kind of meandered a little bit. Things have been ticking up a little bit. And then last week they didn't really need him because it was against Cincinnati. So he had just 12 pass attempts for it's like around 140 or 150 yards and a couple touchdowns in that 24-0 when he's had a couple games of more than 40 rushing yards, but only a couple. I'm just nervous that we don't have that floor. And in the colder weather, that's all I'm thinking about. But at least he has looked like he was visibly not himself 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. The last game looked okay, but he didn't really have to push it against Cincinnati. So I was going to exclude him from my captain or my multiplier slot. I am including him, but I think I will be under the field. So we'll see what the Sims say. But that was my just if you want the chalk donkey take, there you are, viewers.
Yeah, I mean, also if you say Lamar is your favorite multiplier spot today, it's not the normal chalk donkey take it would be, because like I referenced before, we've got Drake Maye projected for 20.5% ownership in the captain spot. Lamar Jackson at 19%. Can you remember a time at all recently where there was a showdown slate with Lamar Jackson where he wasn't the most popular captain?
No, he used to break like his first 3 or 4 years in the league. He would be the captain like on 60+% of lineups. He would be on 90% of every roster. The question was not when you weren't going to make him captain. It's like, are you going to have any rosters without him? And he on the strength of his setting or leading the league with 35 passing touchdowns that 1 year, winning his 2 MVPs. He redid everything. He became the model for what we're seeing now among the best quarterbacks of the game. It's just he's a little bit older. There's more guys that can do it. And one of those guys is Drake Maye. Now, he is running a little bit less by design this year, but still running. I think he's averaging around 25 yards per game. Last year, it was like 37 or 38. I believe he had 4 touchdowns last year, only has 2 this year. But his every other metric he has improved as a passer. He's leading the league in QBR, that's the quarterback rating on ESPN. He's leading the league in yards per attempt as well as completion rate. So, yikes, that's pretty good. That's like 5 years ago, Lamar Jackson, when he was at the apex of his powers, and something we had not seen before. So it's like, sorry, Lamar, you got a little old. What is he, barely 30 years old? And he's already kind of sliding back there a little bit. But I like Drake Maye. He's my main captain tonight.
Yeah, I don't really think Lamar's regressing as much as he's not been healthy this year. I think that's been the number one issue. By the way, he's only 28 years old, Lamar Jackson. So I don't actually think that this is like the end of his prime or anything like that. I think it's just more he got banged up this year. And if you're a running quarterback and you get banged up, that's so much more consequential than, say, you're like Matt Stafford has played this entire season like a broken back, and he's your odds-on favorite minus 300 to an MVP right now. So if you're a non-mobile quarterback, it's a lot easier to be effective through those. And it's not to say Lamar has been ineffective. It just hasn't been his MVP caliber self like we've seen in previous years. So, a little bit of down year for him. But on the whole, it's something that for today, I want to be overweight to him in the captain spot. And like you referenced before, Emac, usually when we talk about Lamar Jackson, it's do we want to play 100% of him? And now the conversation is more so, is Lamar Jackson potentially past his prime, or is he washed or whatever? I'm very interested in Lamar Jackson, a multiplier spot, and then we haven't quite gotten there yet. But if I like Lamar Jackson a lot, I like being underweight to field to Drake Maye on the other side.
All right, let's go to the pass catchers, because this is just it's a little bit tricky. So there are good players all over the place. But if we look first at let's go to New England. So Stephon Diggs is only playing on around half the snaps. However, he easily leads the team in targets for the season because which makes sense. He's mostly out there when it's time to pass. And that's not really a giveaway. It's just, it makes sense to have him out there. Now, they were bringing him along slowly. I think maybe now they're at the point of, hey, we really kind of want this guy to be healthy. And that's been a recurring theme because aside from Mac Hollins, almost every other receiver has had some sort of injury or missed a game here or there. So it makes sense that they're not really pushing him, but I don't really see that changing that much tonight. Now, in the last 8 games, Baltimore has allowed 5 different receivers, Greg, 5 to get 110 or more receiving yards. That's a lot. 110 is a big number these days because of how much passing is down with the changes in defense. So that is something we want to attack. But Baltimore employs that bend, don't break strategy. They've only allowed 3 touchdowns to wide receivers in that time frame. So even though they're racking up the yards, they're not really getting the points or the touchdown points, the difference-making points. Kayshon Boutte has played in 3 of the last 5 games. He has been on the field for around 75% of the plays. So what he and Mac Hollins are like the 2 main guys. And Mac Hollins has just been Mr. Consistency, playing 80% of the snaps for most of the season and been in every game. So he has second on the team in targets. But if we focus on just the last 5 games, rounding this up here to hand it off to you, Hollins has 33 targets. Diggs has 30. So they are clearly the 2 top dogs in this offense. And then you've got the rookie Kyle Williams and then Demario Douglas bringing up the rear there.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on the receivers? Because they seem to have talent. It's just who's going to get the ball.
Yeah, it's tough. You do have a lot of targets going to Stephon Diggs relative to the other pass catchers, but even that is kind of sketchy because he plays less snaps than other guys. So you look at Stephon Diggs the last 3 games, he's been right around a 50% snap rate. Stephon Diggs in week 12, he played 48% of snaps. In week 13, he played 48% of snaps. In week 15, he played 50% of snaps. So the risk becomes with Stephon Diggs playing such a limited amount of snaps. You got Butte and Matt Collins both playing more snaps than him pretty consistently over the last couple of months. Is in a scenario where the Patriots go up by a couple of scores early in the game, Stephon Diggs just barely ends up playing or having much of a role. We've seen this how many times this year, Emac, where Stephon Diggs, remember earlier in the year, it was like, oh, Stephon Diggs is back. Time to play him as a chalk option. And then the Patriots just win by a bunch. He barely plays, doesn't get targeted at all in that game. I can't remember which game it was, but there was one slate where he was like the second or third most popular wide receiver on a slate and got completely game scripted out of the game. So if we look at the pass catching options for the Patriots, I think he's the highest upside of all of them, but he also has the biggest downside. And for what it's worth in our data, doesn't really like Stephon Diggs all that much at all. We got him projected for 10 fantasy points at $8,600. He barely shows up in lineups for tonight.
Yeah, he's hardly in my lineups. And that's a function of the quarterback's pretty good. We're going to talk about the running backs here because we feel that they're a little more projectable than these wide receivers. So it's not a talent thing here. I mean, at some point, would it shock us, down the stretch or in the playoffs if Diggs has a 2-touchdown game? No, it wouldn't. But it would surprise me if he gets double-digit targets at any point here, just with the way things have been going. I think he's only done that once or twice this year. So, and then tight ends. Hunter Henry plays on the field a ton. He's the trusted target for Drake Maye. And you get Austin Hooper playing a fair amount. He is an okay pass catcher, but just never been a primary guy outside of one season that got him paid in Atlanta. And then he meandered around the league a little bit and ended up with the Patriots. So perfectly capable tight end, but not someone that is a difference maker by any stretch. Turning our attention to the Ravens here, Zay Flowers posting very similar numbers to what he did last year that got him the his first Pro Bowl accolades in his second season. The only thing that hasn't been coming on for him are touchdowns. And that's kind of a theme here. Do you know who leads the Ravens in touchdowns?
I would assume Derrick Henry.
Receiving touchdowns.
Oh, receiving touchdowns.
You're correct. But receiving touchdowns.
Mark Andrews. They haven't scored very many through the air this year.
It is. I think it's Andrews with 5, if I remember correctly. Which is just.
Oh, I didn't realize you didn't have the answer. This was a genuine quiz question. I could pull it up right.
Oh, it is. No, I got it. It's Andrews with 5, and then Flowers, Bateman, Hopkins, Devontae Walker, and Charlie Kohler each have 2. Tylan Wallace, Justice Hill, and Rasheen Ali have 1 receiving touchdown. There are no favorites being played in Baltimore. Now, Kohler got some of his work when Isaiah Likely was out, but the tight end position has most of the passing touchdowns. A couple of these guys are hurt and inactive, but it's very, very spread out, which was surprising to me. Because usually there's 2 guys have 6 at this point for most teams that are as talented as Baltimore here. So that was the biggest surprise when I was looking at all of this was how many people have 2? Almost everybody on the team has 2. This is crazy. Makes it hard for DFS, and it makes their overall numbers look bad.
Yeah. Also a big part of the Ravens receiving numbers are going to be influenced by Lamar's missed, close to half the season, not quite half the season, but a chunk of the season's been missed by Lamar Jackson. But, even when he is healthy, a lot of their touchdowns come through the ground just because they have him and Derrick Henry to run the ball into the end zone. So in general, there isn't a ton of touchdown equity for the pass catchers on the Ravens. But if I have to roster one of them under the guise of who is most likely to score a touchdown, it is Mark Andrews for me, particularly at $5,400 and sub 30% ownership. So he's pretty touchdown dependent at this point in his career, Emac. It's not like we should be expecting a massive amount of yards or targets to go to Mark Andrews, but does lead the team in touchdown receptions, like we said before, at 5. Does he have a single? All right, he's got one game this year of 50-plus receiving yards. It's all the way back in week 3 against the Detroit Lions. He had a big game in that one. So he's a boom or bust option based on his price point. He's going to be touchdown dependent, but I do think he's more likely to score than any of the other pass catchers for the Ravens. So in the mid-range, if we're looking at who do we want to play in like that 5-6K range, there's a couple of guys I like. Mark Andrews is my favorite, though.
Yeah, hi, Mama Mac. You never learn. You never learn. Impeccable timing. And she'll leave a message. You're probably on a show. I know you get those calls from your dad.
So. Now my parents are they're at their house, which is down by you in Florida. But nobody would know this on the show. But sometimes because when my parents are staying at my house and my dad wants to get my attention, he'll hear me talking in my office here and he'll knock on the door and he'll just be out the side of the door and go like he's a cat or something, and he'll be out the door like, are you on a show right now? And I can just hear him in the background, but I can't respond because I'm on a show. But that happens to me pretty frequently, but won't come up again until the summer because my parents are down at their house in Florida now.
All right. Yeah. Vintage says, hey, you should have answered and gotten her TD pick. She would have said, oh, I hear Patrick Mahomes is hurt because she likes Patrick Mahomes. So, and Seahawks, she would know the Seahawks. That's it. All right. So turning over to running backs. Are you ready for running backs here? I mentioned it is December. This is a remember me game for Derrick Henry. Do you know
why? It's certainly not. I have no clue.
It's Vrabel. Vrabel was his coach in for his heyday runs there. So he's 5th in the league right now with almost just over 80 yards per game, 4.8 per carry, 10 touchdowns. That ranks 5th. Funny enough, you're right. He does have 1,000 yards. But for 7 times, he has made it 7 of the last 8 seasons. And then that only year where he didn't make it in that stretch, remember, he played just 8 games, had over 900 yards rushing and 10 touchdowns. And that was the game he got hurt halfway through the season. So we always say, hey, he's not much in the way of a passing game, but he has 20 targets this year. That's only 3 fewer than he had all of last year. The difference was he did get 2 of his 5 career touchdowns last year. He does not have any receiving touchdowns, just the 10 rushing touchdowns. But he is averaging 10 yards per reception. So even though he doesn't get that many looks, he's still okay as a receiver. Just no volume there at all. But the remember me moment here, do you think we get a Derrick Henry pass attempt? Because he was 7 of 8 under Vrabel and he had 3 or 4 touchdowns. Now Vrabel's going to tell this to his defense, so he's not going to catch him off guard. But Harbaugh did pull out that trick the 3rd week or 4th week of the season. So this is the kind of game where you may see it just to see doubt for future opponents here. So that's my long shot play here. There's no way to wager on that, but my long shot play. But I actually like Derrick Henry tonight. The rest of the backfield is being split by Keaton Mitchell and Ali. They are kind of both the change of pace backs and kind of the receiving backs. And it was Ali last week, but before that it was Mitchell. They're really kind of in a timeshare for that role. But it's actually semi-expansive. Volume isn't really there, but the playing time is. Because, again, I mentioned that Henry is only on the field about half the snaps. So those 2 guys are cheap on both FanDuel and DraftKings. I would not want to play them together. I wouldn't set any rules to avoid it, and the Sims will mostly take care of that for us. But one of them could fall into a fortuitous touchdown because they've each scored 1 over the last 3 games. Ollie had the touchdown reception last week, and 3 games ago, Mitchell had a rushing touchdown. So.
Do want to tell people that, the Sims do take care of that. However, if you're insistent on not wanting to play those guys together, we do have the ability to make groups here. So if you wanted to make a group of Derrick Henry and then Ali, I guess we should probably add in. No, just leave them as the flex here. So let's say you guys really didn't want to play the two of these guys in a lineup together. You can make a group like you see that I made here on screen: Derrick Henry and Rasheen Ali. You could do an ROI boost of, let's just say, like negative 50%. Now, any lineup that is the two of them in it together would have a negative 50% ROI boost, which presumably would mean that we weed out pretty much all of the lineups that have them together, unless there's one that has like an obscenely high projection in some sort of way. So the groups is a fun new feature that we have as part of the Sims. It's going to be utilized by me mostly for NBA, but it has some utility for NFL showdowns as well, for people who like to have certain pairings either together or not together in one game slates.
That's actually a slick feature. The funny thing is, it's helpful when you're building out, the 5, the 10, the 25,000 lineups. You tend to get, sometimes you'll get stuff that you may not want, just because there's only, especially in Showdown, only so many combinations. But both for excluding but also including players, I think that's kind of interesting there. So I definitely need to play around with that feature. I haven't. The funny thing is, even before we had that feature, if you go sort through the Sims, you find more often than not, it doesn't do what you don't want, right? It's already not doing the thing you were trying to avoid. So New England running backs. Did you know that in these last 2 healthy games, Ramondre Stevenson has outsnapped Travion Henderson by 6 and by 10 plays? Kind of crazy. But Henderson has been outstanding as a runner, shaky as a pass protector. And that's kind of a challenge, because he was really good at that aspect of the game at Ohio State. Now, of course, the NFL defenses are much different than college defenses, but he has struggled somewhat in that. So that's kind of reopened the door for Stevenson to have a decent snap share when he has been available, after his couple games that he missed, where Henderson really put his foot to the floor and pumped the gas, whatever platitude I'm trying to get to there. If we look over the last 2 games, Stevenson has 6 targets. Henderson has 7. Stevenson has 18 carries for 90 yards. Okay, that's not too shabby. Henderson has 25 for 215 yards. Didn't have any touchdowns in the last 2 games, but Henderson is the priority play of the 2 of them. You can play them both together. It just doesn't feel like it's really a priority for tonight. Sometimes we'll have games where we're like, hey, the price difference between Jamal or Jahmyr Gibbs, who just lost, and David Montgomery is enough that together, I want to capture the whole backfield. It's not really there, because you still have Drake Maye, who runs as well. So those are my thoughts on the skill position players. Anything you want to add there for New England?
To me, what's most interesting is the running back situation, because it's clear that Travion Henderson has more upside than Ramondre Stevenson. Like, he's just better than Stevenson at this point in their careers. But Vrabel really prefers to play Stevenson. Even last week, Henderson has had a massive game. Do you know what the snap count difference was between the 2 of them, Emac?
I don't.
Henderson played 25 snaps. Stevenson played 35. And this has been consistent all year. Stevenson has been playing more than Henderson has played. So last week it was 35 snaps to Stevenson, 25 for Henderson. The week before it was 38 to Stevenson, 32 to Henderson. The week before, Henderson actually did outsnap Stevenson, but it's worth noting that in that game, that was Stevenson's first game back from injury. And that is the only game all season, Emac, with the exception being week 3, where they've both been healthy and Henderson played more snaps than Stevenson. It's only happened twice the entire season that Henderson has played more than Stevenson. So with that in mind,
and it's been in the last 2 games, which is crazy. So
no. The last 2 games, Stevenson played more than him in both of them. Henderson just has more fantasy
points. Oh, sorry. Henderson and Stevenson. I wasn't hearing you.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Ramondre has played more in each of the last 2 games.
Yeah. So with Stevenson being $4,000 cheaper and less popular of the 2, I mentioned before there's 2 guys I like in the 5K range. I said one of them is Mark Andrews. The one for me is Ramondre Stevenson, who I think is going to provide a little bit of leverage off of Henderson. I think Henderson could also come in more popular than our projected ownership because of how good he's been lately. I would like Henderson to have a big game for my best ball teams, but realistically, I just have to look at the numbers for tonight's Showdown slate, Emac, and It looks like for about every 2 snaps Stevenson plays, Henderson plays 1. So I like Stevenson at 25% ownership and $5,600 in the 5K range.
That sounds good. I see we have an owner. Oh, we have a projections update. Well, I'm hoping we should get an ownership update here since we have 20 minutes to go. I'll run that there and kick my stuff kicked off. We got a membership chat here from BD85 Sky, who has been in the chat a lot. And he's also been around for 15 months here. He says, just wanted to say thanks. And best tools, hands down. Thank you. We appreciate that. Shout out to our projections team.
BD85 Sky. Yeah, nothing Emac or I could take credit for. We just sit here and use the tools and talk about them. We don't know. We're goofy idiots. We don't know shit. You try to tell.
We're captaining the ship, and they're the ones pulling the oars unseen. So.
Yeah, you tell Emac and I to build the Sims, and we're gonna go buy a copy of Madden, have the computer play against itself, and be like, "Here's how many points everybody scores."
Yes, or Sims,
Yeah.
World. I remember that game from forever ago. God, I would have been playing that in college when that first came out. That is a long time ago.
It's funny. I hadn't thought about The Sims for a very, very long time, but recently my sister-in-law broke her ankle, and trying to find activities, she started playing the Sims a little bit on my PS5. I hadn't thought about The Sims since I was in like grade school though. Before then.
Yeah, when I was doing it, you had the little worlds. So you would build them roads and infrastructure and entertainment things. They weren't the people walking around. So. Well, it's my favorite time to talk about special teams here. And then we can start building out some lineups and having some fun. We need to know that, as I mentioned, both kickers are 6th-round rookies. You have Andres, sometimes he goes by Andy Borregales. He has been excellent this season, 24 of 27. That's 89% success rate, 40 of 42. That's 95% on his point after touchdown attempts. He was a 4-year starter for Miami. In his junior year, he led the ACC in field goals made and attempted. And then his senior year, he led the ACC in extra points, made all 62 of his extra points. On the other side is Tyler Loop. He gets the slight home field advantage, though, again, he is also a rookie. He was a starter for 3.5 years there for the University of Arizona. He only has 2 misses this year, so 1 less than Borregales, but both of his came from beyond 50 yards. So we're going to give him a mulligan on that. He is 26 of 28, so 93% overall, and 94% on his extra points. So these guys are both really good. It's going to be cold, hardly any wind, and no precipitation in Baltimore tonight, though, in Charm City.
Yeah, if you look at our exposures to the kickers, it's some, but nothing all that crazy. And I mean, for me too, like I mentioned before, my 2 favorite guys in the 5K range, I like Ramondre Stevenson, I like Mark Andrews. We typically don't have a lot of really good options as far as skill position players go in this price range, which typically pushes the Sims towards defenses and towards kickers. But Emac, I'd rather roster Stevenson and Andrews than the kickers and defenses today.
I'm a sucker for the kickers. I'm a kicker fish. Plus, then I can get made fun of by Seth in Discord. So,
well, that's always key. You want to make sure you have that available to yourself. By the way, speaking of Discord, we do have a question from Discord. It's from Master PJ. He wants to know our favorite captains on FanDuel for a GPP. So, overall favorite captain, it's going to be for myself. I'm going to have to go with Lamar Jackson. But if we want to get a little bit more contrarian for a GPP, let's see. If I want to go off the board. So, by the way, for what it's worth, ownership over on FanDuel, we've got Lamar Jackson 25% owned, Drake Maye 23% owned. Everybody else is somewhat contrarian over on FanDuel. I'll go with Mark Andrews at 1% ownership just because of the touchdown equity we talked about before.
All right. I would still take Drake Maye. He's going to be my answer for both sides there as captain.
All right. And then do you have
I also like Mac Hollins. Yeah, Mac Hollins is a salary saver. He's getting some popularity there. It's just a function of being on the field all the time. But then from that point, you can kind of diverge because things get a little thinned out if you go to anybody besides Jackson. So.
All right. Yeah, that's reasonable enough. We've also got, what is it? A couple more super chats came in. We've got one here from Nope. Pick. That's just what his name is. Nope.
Oh,
it's what his name is. Emac, best plays on FanDuel for 7K and under. All right, let me sort by salary here and see. So sub 7K. That for me is going to be on FanDuel. On FanDuel, it kind of has to be the kickers because you've got on FanDuel, Hunter Henry's more expensive, Stevenson's more expensive, you've got Mark Andrews more expensive. So yeah, Borregales is $6,600, Tyler Loop is $6,400. Those two for me, Mac.
I would say Loop. And then I would probably roll the dice with Rasheen Ali. That's a significant drop, but that means you can upgrade someone else, most likely.
BD8 Sky says, I didn't get rid of his super chat. We read it.
We did. You've been here 15 months.
Yeah.
Thank you. We said high five. Thank you. You love the tools. We love you.
Yeah, no, we did. No, I did. We made see, it's back here on screen. We made a joke about it. He said he loved the tools. I said that it's a good thing that Emac and I have nothing to do with it because we're goofballs and we couldn't build anything of substance. But no, we read your super chat. We read that one.
Yeah, you got a lot of airtime there, my friend.
That should be the new people. People just come in and they'd be like, "Hey, didn't read my super chat," and then we have to go back and reread all of them.
Plan B smoothie and smoothie one. To wardrobe, please.
And then Headhunter Racing also said, Greg and Emac got 7th in the 100K first down hand building, but I've been with the channel for years. All right, shout out to Headhunter Racing. Love to see a pretty solid return there. Let's see, what is that? Let me look this up. What's 7th in that $1 contest? What is that worth? What kind of change did you get? What's your guess, Emac? There's like a billion people in that contest.
He got $800.
Let's see. Pulling it up.
And we did get ownership update.
All right. $550. His lineup was Tyler Shuck, Jahmyr Gibbs. All right, so we got the Gibbs yards late, pushed him up a little bit. James Cook. This is a rough one. You had Austin, who only scored 3 fantasy points. He was the weak link in your lineup. Then you had Sutton, Olave, Juwan Johnson, Ashton Genty, who had a massive game, and the Saints defense. So look at that. He went with the Tyler Shuck triple. He went with the Saints onslaught. He went Tyler Shuck triple stack with the Saints defense. And unfortunately, it was Austin just scoring those 3 fantasy points to help you back a little bit. But sick lineup.
That was definitely excellent. Wow, the Sims really want me to get Lamar Jackson in captain. Pushing me for 34%. I'm going to have to back that down, but I'm going to match the field now.
And also for the people in chat, that lineup scored 207 fantasy points for our guy who his name on DraftKings is Junior Headhunter. Interestingly, this is actually really funny, Emac. He tied in 7th with another stochastic avatar with Boo 2654. They had the exact same amount of fantasy points in a totally different lineup. But 2 stochastic avatars, both came in 7th in the $1 contest with how many people are in that? 118,000 people. They tied in 7th with the exact same amount of fantasy points, but completely different lineups.
That's hilarious. Well, like a 7v7 or something.
Yeah. Crazy.
Sims get you there in many, many ways. All right. I'm about ready to upload my lineups, Greg. Jackson is going to be on 86% of my lineup, 70% in the utility.
Okay.
That's my stand there. Drake Maye, I've got a little bit more on captain, a little bit less in utility. Trying to get a skosh above Derrick Henry because it's a Dehember to remember. And I'm getting the defenses. You said you weren't getting as much defense?
I said I preferred Mark Andrews and Ramondre Stevenson to the defenses.
Gotcha.
I just realized that there are bots showing up, and I'm logged in with the wrong YouTube account, so I can't boot the bots. So I got to switch to the other YouTube account so that I can start kicking them out of here. So I've got my YouTube account that doesn't have the wrench. I'm logged into my normal Gmail account. Got to switch that over. Was there another super chat that came through here while I get the bots out of chat? Yes, there is one here. It is from Alex Morris. What do we think about Bateman today? I did not have very many Bateman lineups. In general, I don't end up playing very much of Bateman. I don't know if he showed up very much for you, Emac.
No, I ended up being a little above the field. I ranked him in the secondary plays, so he's outside the top 10, but he's above the discount dandies and dollar plays or punt plays. And I said he could literally be anywhere in that section, and I wouldn't argue with you. I have him as 5th, but he could be ahead of Diggs, Stevenson, likely, if you have a preference. It just, his volume really hasn't been there. But again, we've said that about most of Baltimore at this point, outside of Flowers and Andrews. But he is ahead of a whole chunk of people as well. But I didn't get there on it. I'm trying to remember. I think he had the tougher matchup amongst everybody, but it was not enough to make you stay away from him. So because Steph Diggs also had a good matchup, but he's just not he's not on the field as much as his salary indicates he ought to be. So those were the two guys. I'm definitely coming in under the field on both of those guys.
And you see here, Bateman showed up in some lineups, but 12% with 12% ownership. So nothing crazy. He's not like unplayable, but if I was playing 5 lineups, he wouldn't be in any of them.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. I forgot to remove dupes. I like where my lineups are, though, but I should probably get rid of dupes.
By the way, the lineup that is expected to be duped the most tonight, Emac, it is Isaiah Likely, Derrick Henry, Drake Maye, Hunter Henry, Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews. Although I built this lineup pool out on 10,000 instead of 50,000 when I was doing this here. So let me rerun this on 50,000 with the latest update, and then I'll be able to show you guys some of the most duped lineups with the latest update. So I'll have this running here. It'll be done in like a minute or so, and then we'll see what the absolute most duped lineups are in the 50,000 pool. Anything else that you're noticing in your final lineups, Emac?
Let me quickly do captain. So I'm at 24 on Mayfield at 17. I'm at 18 on Jackson, Fields at 19. Henry, I'm at 16, Fields at 13. I didn't quite get to where I wanted on Zay Flowers, but I got 8. The Fields got 11. I'm 2 above on Andrews. I can see where I can take it. I got 6% Ravens. I don't need 6%. Okay. I would like to have 2 of my 50 lineups. So we'll make that 4. And then I'm going to give a little tick here to Flowers and hopefully get him. There we go. That worked out. Now I got 10% of Flowers. So that works. I'm going to export this because I'm ready to go. The most popular player or my most rostered player is Lamar Jackson. Again, pushing 82% now in both flex and utility. Mark Andrews is 2nd, and Drake Maye is 3rd.
Okay. And here we are about to have the most duped lineups of the night showing up on the screen here in a second with our most updated ownership. And here now we've got the real deal most duped lineup, Emac, with everything updated. Lamar Jackson, Drake Maye, Mac Hollins, Mark Andrews, Ravens defense, Zay Flowers. One thing that's interesting, which this will happen when there's multiple players that are popular in the captain spot and it's not dominated by one guy, is there aren't any individual lineups that are expected to have massive dupes. There's actually only one lineup in this 50,000 pool that has more than 100 dupes, and it's that Lamar Jackson lineup I just read out. But nothing looks too problematic on the dupe end for tonight.
Yeah, the 2-game slate yesterday, the dupes were just insane on the Sims, just because there was the salary was not even a consideration or a constraint. You could do whatever you wanted.
A quick story time, Emac, because not that anybody's going to give a shit about this because it impacted me and nobody really cares that much about other people's individual lineup experience. But FanDuel slate last night, which I entered last second using the Sims because FanDuel had a bunch of overlay for the 2-game NFL slate. I'm in 7th place with the game going into overtime. And I'm looking at the stats on the final drive. Nobody in front of me is DeAndre Swift. I have DeAndre Swift. So I realized that if the Bears score with DeAndre Swift on the final drive, I win the 100K on FanDuel. I come in first place and I get really excited. I realized this for about 15 seconds because the next play was the touchdown pass to DJ Moore, and that lineup didn't have DJ Moore in it. So then that lineup falls from 7th to like 900th on a 2-game slate. And then I just get crushed for the slate. But I went from being in 7th and making a good amount of money and thinking I have a chance at 100K lasts less than 30 seconds when I realize where I am in the standings, because then the touchdown pass happens, game's over, and I get buried on the slate. So, yeah, those 1-2 game slates, things could change very quickly.
Indeed, and I was fast asleep because I went to bed at
that game was awesome, though.
10:30.
Awesome. Yeah. I too have the one benefit is I do have Bears futures, so at least that was good for me. But the DFS win would have been significantly better than the few $100s I stand to win on the Bears winning the division.
Yeah, I told my wife, like, oh, the game went to overtime. She's like, is every game go to overtime now? Because I stayed up late for that Seahawks game. Oh, that was awesome on Thursday night. But then I was cranky all day Friday. So then I hear that in my back of my head, you don't need to be cranky. So tonight I'll stay up. I finished my little Coca-Cola here. So you're ready to go. All right, we are 3 minutes away here. Nothing has really.
Oh, it was quick. Another quick one, Emac. Before we leave, first, you guys like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, make sure to check out Tails. But I also need to tell the people, Emac, before we sign off, about our sponsor, DraftKings Pick 6, who also over at DraftKings, if you guys haven't seen, there are playoff best ball contests. So I recommend checking those out as well. I think I'll get some content up on Twitter for the playoff best ball stuff. But also for now, go check out DraftKings Pick 6. If you guys do check out Pick 6 for your first time, your first $5 in Pick 6 sets, that gets you up to $50 in bonus pick money over there. If you have a gambling problem, call or text the number 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Just call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus, valid only where Pick 6 operates. See dkng.co/Pick 6 states. This is void in New York and Ontario and where prohibited. Eligibility restrictions to apply. One per new DraftKings customer. Your first $5 in Pick 6 sets. Does get you $50 issued as non-withdrawable bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Terms and conditions can be found at pick6.draftkings.com. This is sponsored by DraftKings. Good luck, everybody.